Hey, what's up, Jack? It is Coach Matt over here at Primal Headquarters in the home office getting ready to do your video analysis. So, before we get started up, I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you for purchasing the video analysis. I think you're going to find that it's for the cost, it's an unbelievably great tool for throwers like you to use to really get some big tips to improve your throw almost instantly. My goal for these video analyses is just to basically give you one big thing to work on within the next day or two to add feet instantly to your throw. After that one big thing, we're also going to give you a few other things, a couple of smaller things that I'd like for you to work on sort of after the fact. So the one big thing that I'm going to point out to you, that should be the thing that you concentrate on the most for the next couple of days of practice to really see a big improvement. And once that is taken care of, once that big improvement is looking a lot better, that's when you would move on to kind of trying to fix the other smaller things that I'm going to go on to tell you about. With that being said, for a sophomore, your technique is really solid. You do a lot of things in the circle very well. Your form certainly needs to be polished a little bit. Your technique certainly needs a little bit here and there, a little bit of working on, but it's nothing. Certainly is very solid compared to a lot of sophomores that I've worked with. I mean, you have a very good technique. I know you mentioned in your email that you don't really have a throwing coach, that the football coach has just been helping out, but what you're doing, you can tell you're dedicated and that you're committed to this. I know you email me a lot, you send me messages on Facebook, and I'm always here to help. So if there's anything else that you need after this, please make sure to get back in touch with me and I will certainly help you out. With that being said, when you do have your shot put video uploaded and ready to go, I won't be able to do a video analysis because that's what this is today. I can only do as many video analyses that are purchased. It's sort of a way of accounting and keeping track of it. But I can certainly take a look at your shot put and give you some hints and give you some tips along the way to get that improved as well. So the big thing that we want to talk about here, Jack, that I want you to really focus on is going to be your release. Now, your release itself, how the discus comes off your hand and the angle of your hand, how the discus stays behind your hip, that's all good. But what I want to look at with your release, or regarding your release, is your feet. Now, one of the things that I want you to watch here is that, let me turn the volume down here, is that your release, when you first look at it, looks early. Notice that some of these throws are probably really close going to, or really close to your right sector line, so they're going down the right side. And at first I thought it was just that you were letting the discus go too early. But then I started to look and say, well, maybe it's because his right foot isn't turning all the way down the middle. And both of those things were going really well. So if you're releasing it where you should be releasing it, and if the right foot is pointing down the middle and it's still flying down the right side, that means it's a weight shifting issue. And I want to take a look, because one of the things regarding weight shifting, or one of the most important weight shifts that you do in the discus circle, is when you're in that power position and you take the weight. All of your weight should be back behind the power foot, back behind your right foot when you land in the power position. And you take all that weight and you push that weight onto your left side, onto your blocking side. And that's where that block comes from. In my videos I talk about the block being like those old commercials with the crash test dummies, where the car runs into a wall and the crash test dummy keeps going. So force is being transferred because the car hits the wall, the dummies keep going. That weight, that force is being transferred somewhere. So in order to get all that force transferred onto the discus, you need to really stop really hard on that left side. And what I want you to take a look at is that as you turn out of the back, everything's looking good. As you hit, so the left foot is the trigger. As you hit, watch how fast you just drive up and let it go. Boom. You're not giving yourself enough time to transfer that weight onto your left side. So when you throw, we can kind of see it from different angles, but this is a good angle because it's just of your feet. When you throw, we'll go kind of YouTube frame by frame, you can see where you're at as you start to release. All of the weight is still back behind the right foot. And then you stand up and you blast up in the air. But look at the angle that your body's at. You're actually leaning backwards. So as you throw, as you release, and as you kind of drive up into that discus, you have not extended your right knee and you have not pushed your hips forward. You haven't actually pushed any weight onto your left foot. That left foot is sort of like a springboard where it hits and it pops off the ground. Well, in order to get weight onto it, you need to keep the feet on the ground for a longer period of time. This is the number one reason I don't teach my athletes to switch their feet, because most of the time, instead of transferring weight and then shifting the feet as a means to stay in the circle, what they do is just kind of jump in the air and throw. And if you picture if you were throwing a football and you jumped in the air so that both feet were off the ground and tried to throw the ball to somebody, it's not going to have any power behind it. So that's exactly what's happening here, is that you're not shifting the weight from your right foot to your left foot. You're not pushing all of your weight forward. And what that's actually doing is it's causing you to lose a ton of power and a ton of leverage and torque that's been built up. It's not getting transferred into that discus. We're going to see it here too. So as you come around, everything's looking good. I mean, the discus is behind the hip. You're accelerating in front of the discus. You're running down the middle, and watch. As soon as the left foot hits the ground, this is the trigger. As soon as the left foot hits the ground, now we've got to see pretty much your head, your chest, and your hips need to go over that left foot, so up and over. And you'll see what happens is that as you throw, now you're just about to leave the ground. Your right foot's already off the ground. And look at where everything is. It's still behind your foot. So no weight has transferred forward. You see that? See how if I drew a straight line from your toe up, your toe would be right about here. Your knee is way behind the toe. The hip is even further behind the toe. The chest is even further behind the toe, and your head is furthest back. You're actually lying backwards at an angle. And then that thing comes off your hand. So you're literally trying to throw the discus while you're in midair. We need to really make sure that we throw that discus, that we're releasing that discus when the feet are on the ground. So you need to keep your feet on the ground longer to allow you to transfer weight onto your left side, to allow you to have that block, to have that ability. Now, picture this if you could. Let's take that crash test dummy example. If the wall was just sort of a, let's think of the wall as like a, if they just had a brick wall that was floating in the air, just hanging from the ceiling, hanging from, a crane or something by wires. If that car crashed into the brick wall that was not on the ground, it was just kind of floating in midair, there would be a little bit of transfer, but the car would just continue to blast right through the wall and keep driving. There wouldn't be an abrupt stoppage. And it's the same thing here. There's no abrupt stoppage. The weight is not transferring from your right side to your left side, and you're not pushing your weight forward, and that is not, in turn, is not transferring into the discus. So we need to make sure, just to kind of keep hammering this point home, we need to make sure that your feet stay on the ground longer to allow that weight to transfer onto the left. Now, once the weight transfers onto your left foot and the discus is out of your hand, you can do whatever the heck you want with your feet, because at that point the throw's over. But you could do whatever you want with your feet. You could do a tap dance in the circle. I wouldn't care about that. But we need to make sure that you release the discus when your feet are still on the ground or just about to leave the ground. That's really what the timing is. We should see the discus leaving your first finger as your feet are just about to leave the ground. So let's take a look here. We'll see if we can grab it. So we're back, Great windup. We go through the whole throw. Fantastic windup. Great job of shifting weight onto your left side to allow you to run down that circle. Left foot just about to hit the ground, so it's just, you can tell by the shadow, it's just hovering over the ground. Your feet come off the ground, and look at where the discus is. So the discus is still behind the hip. That shows me that nothing, no power has moved forward. Nothing has transferred or shifted onto your left side, and there's no block. And look at the discus, comes off the hand, and look at how high in the air your left side is. So we need to keep your left foot and your right foot on the ground for a longer period of time to allow all of that vertical, all of that linear force, all of that speed that you have going through the circle, that run, that explosive speed down the circle needs to stop at some point. But right here you can tell it doesn't stop. It just kind of with a snap of a finger just kind of hits and goes away. It never has the time to transfer into the discus. He took a lot of great angles, so we're going to see it from a couple of different angles. This is a good one too. Great windup. Turning out of the back. Nice level shoulders. I like that a lot. So the feet, the left foot just hit the circle. The left foot just touched down at this frame. Watch how quick. Now you're off the ground. Where's the discus? The discus has not released yet. It just let go right there. You can see the shadow of the discus actually on the ground. So look at how high in the air you are when you release the discus, and look at how much you're leaning back. What I would do to correct this is not switch your feet for a couple of days. I would work on keeping both feet on the ground and really working on pushing all of your weight from your right side onto your left side. Once that happens and all the weight shifts, and you release the discus after the weight shifts, then you can switch your feet. But don't just jump in the air and throw. We need to shift weight, throw the discus, and then leave the ground. So right now you're jumping and throwing. We want you to shift that weight, throw, and then leave the ground. So that's really what I want you, that's your main thing, that's your primary thing that I want you to work on. The other thing that I want you to work on, sort of your secondary thing to work on, is this big sweeping step out of the back of the circle. And I will show you what I mean. I did a video a while back about running down the middle, about taking, just like a sprinter, pinching your knees together and pinching your feet together and making it a linear, a straight line. We want that drive down the middle to be as straight of a run as possible. So that left sector line is like a balance beam, and you're going to run down that balance beam as straight as possible. So we want to see, after you shift weight onto your left, it looks like from here, at this point, you should be able to run and sprint down that left sector line. Completely just annihilate and drive and run, just like a sprinter coming out of starting blocks. But what you're going to see happens, see how wide your foot carries around? So what you're doing is almost taking what should be like a check mark of out and down. You're turning it into more of a question mark, where your right leg continues to sweep around a little bit too far. See how wide that is? If you were to go in a straight line, your foot would already be on the ground. So essentially what I'm looking for you to do is I'm looking for you to shorten the distance that that right leg has to travel, and in shortening the distance that the right leg has to travel, you're actually going to make it faster and you're going to make it more efficient of a throw. Having that long, this wide sweeping first step takes way too long, and it allows your upper body to start to uncoil. The faster the legs can get in the right position and the faster the feet can hit the right position, the faster your throw is going to be, and the more power and the more speed you're going to have, because you're cutting down on the length of that throw. you're cutting down on the amount of time that you're actually in the circle. So that's the secondary thing to work on. Once you get to a point where it looks like you're comfortable enough and ready to run down that circle, right here, this is where you should start to run. This is where you're looking down the middle, you're looking down that left sector line, your shoulders are pointing down that left sector line, your hips are pointing down the left sector line. At this point, I want you to pinch your knees and pinch your feet together and run, just like a sprinter coming out of starting blocks. You would never want to see a sprinter come out of starting blocks and have that big, wide, sweeping right leg. You really want to see them go straight, in as straight a line as possible, and that's what I want you to do as well. Alright, so that's one big thing that you're gonna have to work on, and sort of a medium, like a secondary thing that I want you to work on. The third little thing that I want you to work on is this left arm. You can see as you throw, your left arm kind of gets, I don't want to say all over the place, but as you throw, your left arm it's kind of like you don't know what to do with it. Right here it's perfect because the left armpit is closed. Right here you can see the left arm is still closed. As you drive, you start to use that left arm to swing you around. And sort of going along, look how wide that right step is. We just talked about it, but look how wide that is. You would never want to see a sprinter coming out of the starting blocks looking like that. You know, we want those feet together. So sort of what goes along with your right foot sweeping around in that big question mark kind of loop is this left arm is also pulling and swinging around your upper body. So instead of a linear drive, your right leg and your left arm are creating a circular motion. You can see how it swings around. You do a great job of closing it at the end. But if you're just going to close it at the end, why open it up at all? It's just excess movement that's not needed. So keep it closed the whole time. And if it's closed the whole time, you never have to close it again. I hope that makes sense. We're trying to cut down on the excess movement that's not necessary to make the throw efficient. So that right there, Jack, are three things. A big thing, sort of a medium secondary thing, and a small thing that you can work on. If you work on this for the next week and you really try to get these three things nailed down, I can see an extra 10 to 15 feet on your throw instantly. Just correcting the power position, just correcting, shifting that weight from your right foot onto your left foot will instantly add 10 feet. Doing the other stuff, driving down the circle so that you're not taking that big sweeping right leg, and keeping your left armpit closed so that you're not doing a big pull with your left as you enter the middle of the circle, that can easily add another 5 to 6 feet onto your throw. So everything combined, we're going to see a massive increase. Now, don't get discouraged with yourself if it doesn't happen the first hour of practice or the first day or two. What I'm asking you to do are some pretty big things that usually take a few days of practice to start to make sense. So what I want you to do is watch this video a few times. Make sure that you have a great understanding of what I'm asking you to do. I'm going to try to insert a couple of videos in here as well, some older YouTube videos that I did that explain a little bit about what I'm talking about. And then, try to implement the big thing first, which is the shifting of the weight in the power position. Once that is nailed down, once that makes sense, then work on driving out of the back in a straight line instead of that sweeping right leg. And then when that's done, let's focus on that left arm. So that's sort of the order of importance of what I want you to work on. And I think if you go ahead and do all that, put that all together, you're going to have a heck of a throw, and you're going to be seeing monstrous, massive PRs as you end your season. I know you said you've got a championship meet that's coming up. Hopefully you can qualify for the next meets after that and try to extend your season a little bit where you can continue to work on this. But from the looks and things and the sounds of things, you're already in a great spot. We're just trying to take your form and make it that much better. So again, thanks again for sending in the video. Thanks again for purchasing the analysis. When your shot put video is uploaded, email that to me and I will get you some tips how to improve that as well. Good luck, and hope to hear from you soon.